Well, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Schwa Mill, where we help you craft your accent every single Saturday at this time. My name is Jeff. It rhymes with breath, which is one of the fundamentals for sounding natural in American English. And I kind of want to walk you through the process for how to send in your pronunciation files in case you would like me to take a look at your accent and give you suggestions on how to sound even more natural in American English pronunciation. Give me a moment just to share my screen with you. While I'm doing that, some hellos to Edward. Checking in again. Good to see you, sir. And also to Emmanuel. Good to see you as well. Okay, as you can see, we don't have a ton of files here today, so might be able to get out early, but we'll do our best to give people as good feedback as possible. Let me just zoom in a little bit. Okay, but this is the Google Doc where you can send in your own pronunciation file. What you're going to see, and you can find this by way if you look at the video description. Also put it in the chat. You can see that? I'll just switch my name. Give me one moment. See, Roberto's in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. So, this is the document that you'll be able to go to. And once you go to this location, you're going to see up top that it's going to direct you to choose one options below. Visit vocaroo.com to record your file. This is what vocaroo.com looks like. Okay. And once you're at Vocaroo, you're probably going to see a big fat red record button here. That's a good sign. You're going to press that record button. You'll end your recording, save it, and then take that file because you're going to see a link down here once you save it. And you're going to put it down into the document. It's also helpful if you give me your name or let me know how I should address you. And something that's also helpful too is putting down the text of what you say so that way I have an idea of the actual words. Because sometimes something that happens is that, well, sometimes you say things and I just don't know what you say. It happens. Look, we're talking into electronic wires that travel thousands of miles. We're using microphones of various quality. We're using headphones of various quality. In addition to having pronunciation and different accents and things like that. So there's the opportunities for things to go wrong are endless. So it is always great to have the text. So that way we know what you're saying. And again, we'll be taking files throughout this stream. So whenever you're checking in, or if you're checking this on the replay, feel free to take a look at this document. I usually clear it out on Thursday or Friday. So then you can send in your file and we'll catch it for the next time that we do this. I also encourage you, if you like MP3 versions, we try to get a MP3 version of highlights out on our podcast, which you can find at fluentamerican.com. Okay. Other people have shown up. Shok is in the house. Everyone's saying hey to everybody. That's great. Manuel says Jeff rhymes with breath or chef. It rhymes with all of them. Jeff, breath, chef, all of them. Because of that vowel sound. Yes. Also, there's just some quick highlights or things I think will be helpful for you guys to know before we move on. First things first. Oh my gosh, there's that big free thing. Hey. So, from this point forward, I'm excited to say that our 4-step American accent course is completely free. All you need to do is send me your email. That will subscribe you to our bonus English newsletter, but you will also get access to this course content for absolutely free, which is really, really exciting. The 4-step American accent course goes through what I think are, again, the 4 fundamentals to sounding natural in American English. And so talking about placement, pitch, breath, and trying to weaken your consonant sounds. Okay. So you'll be able to get our video course for free. So if you or if anyone you know would be interested in this, be sure to sign up for it. You can find all kinds of things about this if you go to, again, fluentamerican.com. Okay, you can also find it on our course page. It's that very first one. In addition to that, we've also launched many different courses, but the most recent one is Accent Dash. Accent Dash is a series of 2-minute videos, roughly 1 to 2 minute I think one might be 3-minute videos that are all catered around some of the most difficult sounds to pronounce in American English. Okay. They're basically designed to be like, hey, here's a quick pronunciation workout for you to do on a very difficult sound. Like, for instance, linking an A sound to the letter N, like in man or plan, or linking a TH sound to an N, like saying a phrase like and then, or maybe just practicing stress patterns, like the difference between doing like a da 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 or a da da da, or for instance, like is this or is this, things like that. So, this is our latest course. We have all kinds of discounts, which you can find on the stream, but you can also find out, again, purchase this class for $25, get you access to all of the videos. You can see some free preview videos as well, just to make sure that this is something that interests you. So just some quick little course updates that I think you guys will like. Okay, so again, Accent Dash is our new course. 4-Step American Accent is now available for free. This is all exciting stuff. Okay. Man says, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Jeff's the best. Oh, thank you, Emmanuel. You're the best, man. No, you are. No, you're the best. It's you. It's you. Hello, Disavada. Checking in. Good to see you. Glad you can make the stream. And Edward asks a very good question about apprenticeship. Does the second C of apprenticeship. Wait, the second C. Is the word one. Okay, apprenticeship. A lot of times I think what happens is that apprenticeship. A lot of times those middle syllables get kind of linked together. So I think a lot of times you'll hear people pronounce it as like apprenticeship. If you pronounce the S like apprenticeship, you can do that, but that's honestly kind of harder to say. Just a note about that. Any other housekeeping things? Yay? Nay? I'm thinking nay. All right, well then I guess it's time to look at some feedback. Oh, let me add myself there, right? Again, it's not little, it's more little.
The G host was class.
Are you feeling that here, or here? All right, I already have my headphones on, so we're going to take a look again at some files. Allow me to share once more. 1, 2, 3. Oh, ma'am. Oh, look at that guy. He has a lot of hair. All right, let's see. So again, still plenty of time to send in files if that's something you're interested in. Just gonna pick out random here. Start with an 18-second file.
When I look at the channels that do sort of the movie reviews with a degree of social commentary, yours is crushing it right now. Like, I mean, I see it crushing in views. It seems like it's surging in popularity. What do you think is contributing to that?
Okay, so what can we say about this file here?
When I look at the channels that do sort of the movie reviews,
I'm guessing this is some shadowing. So again, anytime you're sending us a shadowing audio file, just always take it with a grain of salt. I've not heard the original file, so I can't guarantee that the things I say are the things that they're doing. But that said, let's listen to that first part again.
when I look at the channels that do sort of the movie reviews with a degree of social commentary.
Okay, so the general pattern you have it going is just like going down, which is appropriate, or could be appropriate depending on what they're actually doing, right?
When I look at the channels that do sort of the
I am kind of wondering if in the original file there's a point that maybe even goes a little higher. Like, I think this works. I don't have an issue with it, but I do kind of wonder there might be additional contrast points that we're missing.
When I look at the channels that,
because it almost sounds like you're stressing I a little bit.
When I look at the channels that,
like when I look at the channels, versus like when I look at the channels, or like when I look at the channels. So I would just kind of listen to that those first 3 words just to make sure you're matching pitch for pitch what they're doing. Maybe you are, but I would just say double check that.
When I look at the channels that do sort of the movie reviews with
the movie reviews part, I would not be surprised if there's a different pitch pattern in what you're doing right there.
Movie reviews with it.
that do sort of the movie reviews, like
movie reviews.
because the way you're saying it right now, that do sort of the movie reviews, that do sort of the movie reviews. So yeah, you have stress, but it sounds a little muted to me,
Movie reviews
especially when paired with the do sort of the
that do sort of the movie reviews.
that do sort of the movie review. So I do appreciate you're holding the. So notice that the is long. That's a very common strategy at the end of a thought group is to hold the final sound longer. Some of the
Movie reviews.
but it says sort of the movie reviews. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes higher, like sort of the movie reviews or like something like that. So I would definitely check out that part.
Reviews with a degree of social commentary. Yours is crushing it. With a degree of social commentary.
Grammatical questions. I would check the original section and see if he says with the degree of social commentary. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a degree, like the letter A, versus the degree, unless this is just something they've already mentioned previously. So I would check that. Emmanuel does make an important note. Okay, so he's checking the original audio and he's saying the original does go a lot higher on movie reviews in pitch. Okay, so that's one thing you've already kind of identified, which is great. Okay, always be checking those sorts of things for yourself.
Reviews with a degree of social commentary. Yours is a degree of social commentary.
With degree of social commentary, with degree of social I again, that could be a spot where I wouldn't be surprised if the person you're shadowing does something a little different with pitch.
Reviews with a degree of social commentary.
Because it just sounds a little flat with the degree of social commentary. With degree of social commentary, I would expect something like with the degree of social commentary, or with the degree of social commentary. Like I would expect something to either go a little higher or a little lower, just to add a little bit more contrast. So I would pay attention to that part. As we're doing this, I see Edward asks
Question.
Which one is correct? As I mean, or like I mean. Probably like. As is not. It can be used for comparison sorts of purposes, but it's not as frequent, honestly. Other things for that part, I just want to look at the vowels and consonants and things.
When I look at the channels that do sort of the movie reviews with it, do sort of the. When I look at the channels that do sort of the. When I look at the channels that.
Channels versus channels. I do think you get more of that and sound on channels, but again, there's so much variation in different people's accents, so it's very possible that maybe the native speaker you're listening to did that. But I would personally go a little bit more and. When I look at the channels,
When I look at the channels that.
Because I'm here. When I look at the channels versus when I look at the channels.
Do sort of the movie reviews with.
Another thing too with the movie reviews part is it feels like the placements will highlight movie reviews versus movie reviews. So I would just be asking myself, hey, can I get my diaphragm evolved a little bit more there?
Movie reviews.
Movie reviews. Movie reviews. Do you hear that difference there?
With a degree of social commentary. Yours is crushing it.
Let's see what that yours is.
Commentary. Yours is crushing it.
Yours is crushing. I wouldn't be surprised if the is even goes lower in pitch. Like yours is
commentary. Yours is
like. Do you hear the difference between those? Yours is. So I would just kind of pay attention. What's the pitch doing on is in the original file? See if it's actually going a little lower in pitch. Just add a little more contrast. I don't see. You could potentially get a little bit more breath in a little lower placement of the yours is part. Yours is.
Degree of social commentary. Yours is
because it just feels like we're kind of high. It's degree of social commentary. Yours is with a degree of social commentary. Yours is. Do you hear that difference between those two, just like placement wise?
Crushing it right now. Like I mean, I see it crushing in views. It seems like it's surging in popularity. What do you think is contributing to that?
Okay, let's try to do like one or two quick notes, and we'll move on.
I see it crushing in views.
Crushing is a little fast on your vowel.
I see it crushing in views.
Crushing in views. I see it crushing it. Can you hear the difference in like crushing it and crushing it? I'll try to get that schwa that just have an extra millisecond or two.
Crushing in views.
Crushing it.
Views. It seems like it's surging.
Views, it seems like again that whole little section there from views to seems like it feels like our placement again is pretty high. Views, it seems like just try again get the little more breath and placement there. Feel that diaphragm.
It seems like it's surging in popularity. What do you think in views? It seems like you're surging in popularity.
That part's very flat. It seems like you're surging in. It seems like you're surging in. So I would listen to the original audio for that part as well. It seems like you're surging in. It seems like you're surging in.
In views, it seems like you're surging in popularity.
It seems like you're surging in. That's what I'm hearing. Versus, it seems like you're surging in. Just trying to add a little more contrast there. I would not be surprised if the original audio does something like that.
Popularity. What do you think is contributing to that?
I would also, for that very last part with the question, what do you think is contributing to that? What's our stress, and are you hitting the same pitch they are?
Views, it seems like you're surging in popularity. What do you think is
It's like, what do you think is? So you're kind of playing it safe, like this mid pitch range. Like, what do you think is versus like, what do you think is? Or like, what do you think is even lower pitch? Like, I would just make sure again that's the pitch range that they're using.
what do you think is in popularity? What do you think is
Also, just a note too on what do you think. So that's fine the way you said it. There's so many ways that you can say what do you think, right? So like it could be what do you think, or it could be what do you think, or what do you think. There's so many ways you could read that. So just make sure that's the one that they're using.
contributing to that?
Yeah. So I think lots of good stuff there. Overall, I like what you did. If you have any questions for me about anything I mentioned there, let me know. A lot of it's just kind of pitch related and some placement related things in some areas. But thank you for sending that file. We appreciate you. Next file is going to be a little bit shorter, looks like. So let's see what we have here.
I dabbled in painting for a while, but I never took it seriously.
Okay, I like that for second half. Get some Marcos throwing some pitch changes at us. We Thuckers. It says lots of good stuff. Thanks so much for your feedback. Thank you so much for your audio. And lastly, trying to remember timestamps for the moment. We're at 17:17. You guys have spent 17 minutes. American English pronunciation. Oh my god. And then we have to find the file again because we always lose it. I think it's this one.
I dabbled in painting for a while, but I never took it seriously.
Okay. I really like the second half of this.
I dabbled in painting for a while, but I never took it seriously.
But I never took it seriously. But I never took it seriously. I would say I want to start with the second half.
For a while, but I never took it seriously.
I really like that pitch change that you have between but and while. I mean while and but, excuse me.
Painting for a while,
Because like while, you're down here.
but I never took it
And then you go high, but I never, for a while, but I never, for a while, but I never. That sort of pitch change is really great. Super common strategy in American English. Whenever you're switching thought groups, that's one of the most common factors that happens is that you're going to see the pitch register change. So our first thought group is lower for a while, and then we go higher, but I never took it seriously. But I never took it seriously.
while, but I never took it seriously.
Seriously. I never took it seriously. Okay, so the way you're saying seriously right now makes it seem like that's the word you really want to stress.
Took it seriously.
Never took it seriously. I never took it seriously. I never took it seriously.
I never took it seriously.
I never took it seriously. I never took it. You have an opportunity to go even higher in pitch because right now I think it's a little low. Like, but I never took it seriously. But I never took it seriously. But you could go lower pitch, but I never took it seriously. So the other option too would maybe even going lower in pitch, honestly. But I never took it seriously. And another thing too is you could even pause between it and seriously just to make that word stand out further. Just some options there. I don't know if you were shadowing. If you were shadowing, maybe that's what they did. I don't know. But just kind of some things to consider there.
While, but I never took it seriously. For a while, but I never took it seriously.
I think the other thing too is that you for that part, every single syllable and word is kind of said at about the same pace, but I never took it seriously. Whereas a lot of times with stress words and things like that, when we're trying to add contrast, it's not just about pitch, but it's also about things like volume. It's also about things like speed. If seriously is the word that you want to stress, another thing that you can do is make it longer. But I never took it as seriously. But I never took it seriously. Notice how much slower seriously is now compared to the first part. But I never took it seriously. So that's just another technique you can use to start separating things, adding more contrast to your speech, makes it sound a little more natural, playing with the speed. Any other like pronunciation things going on?
While, but I never took it seriously.
But I never took it. I like that, but I never took it. I like your linking there. I like the speed. I think you're hitting the vowels that you need to hit. I like that part a lot. First part?
I dabbled in painting for a while, but
I dabbled in painting for a while. A lot of stresses there. Dabbled, painting, while. That's just a note on that. Oh, I see. Edward has asked a good question here that I want to address. The second I in this sentence could be omitted, right? So compare the difference between I dabbled in painting for a while, but never took it seriously, and I dabbled in painting for a while, but I never took it seriously. So notice the second time I added I. Um, you don't have to have the second I. I think by putting it in, it adds a little more emphasis, you know. But that's not to say that taking it out is wrong. That is an option. Next question here from Edward. It's okay to say Lil when speaking fast instead of little. I mean, Lil and little can literally have the same sound. That's why it's even written that way, right? Um, so yes, I mean, even when you see people, using it in like text speech, why are people doing that? Because that's how people say it. You know, like it's like when people say like coulda, or they write down coulda instead of like could've. Because that's the sound. It sounds like coulda. In fact, there's a lot of kids, like first graders, second graders, don't write things like coulda because they don't know that the verb is there and things like that. So it's a pretty common thing. Thank you to on me. Good to see you here. Thanks for asking. If you have other questions, be sure to let me know. Let's listen to that first part of this sentence again.
I dabbled in painting for a while, but
I dabbled in painting for a while. So this first half's kind of doing the opposite of what the second half is doing, because this first half is so choppy. And the reason for that is because you have so many stresses. You're stressing dabbled, you're stressing painting, you're stressing while. I dabbled in painting for a while. So one of the things, if you're trying to get the sentence to sound a little smoother, one opportunity for that would be to cut off one of these stresses. Um, for instance, you probably don't need dabbled and painting. You could probably just stress painting. I dabbled in painting for a while. I dabbled in painting for a while. I dabbled in painting for a while. You can honestly just do one stress, just stress on painting. I dabbled in painting for a while.
I dabbled in painting for a while.
Another note too, that for painting, and yes, it's misspelled on our screen. There should be an N, but probably just typo. Usually when you have an N plus a T, that T will go silent. So instead of painting, you'll usually just hear painting.
Painting for a while, but
I want to hear while again.
been painting for a while, but
Do you hear that while? Why is it doing that IL sound? Well, just because you have a dark L. When you have an L after a long vowel, see why that I sound is considered a long vowel. Then you have that L after it. So that L after is considered a dark L. So it sounds like while. Dabbled in painting for a while. Just a note there. You can even make it faster if you want. It doesn't have to be like while. You can just be while. Dabbled in painting for a while.
I dabbled in painting for a while, but
Yeah. I think besides those little things about dark L's and T's, the general sounds are okay. It's just the rhythm's a little bit off. Like I dabbled in painting for a while. That sort of rhythm you're not usually going to hear so often in American English. And again, that could be remedied by just stressing painting. I dabbled in painting for a while. Dabbled in painting for a while.
I dabbled in painting for a while, but I never took it seriously.
Versus, I dabbled in painting for a while, but I never took it seriously. All right, but thank you for that file to Marcos. We appreciate you. Good stuff. See some other questions coming in from Roberto. They ask how to pronounce. Oh man, a lot of words with north. So key thing here is don't let the R and the TH just kind of dominate these. You're better than that. You can beat it. It's more or. The key part of this is make sure you can say or like or something I hope you can see on the video is that my lips aren't really moving, right? Or there's a little bit of a gap between my top tooth and my bottom tooth. Back of my tongue is a little high. In this case, my front of my tongue is down. Or. Okay, so once you get comfortable with that, we can add the other things, but make sure that the vowel sound stays the same, right? You do like or and or. Again, watch my lips, how little movement they're making. Or. It's not or. No. See how closed off that is? Also tends to shift the placement higher. We want to make sure we're engaging the diaphragm, getting lots of air through. So like or. And then we could add the whole words like north. By the way, that's with the tip of my tongue, personally, down here the entire time. You can have it higher or north. But I think it might slow you down and it might also raise the placement. So it might be helpful to actually keep your tongue down. Or north. How about the next one? Or northern. Or northern. The difference between north and northern, aside from the extra letters, is that the th becomes voiced. So like northern, thern. You need some vibration in your throat. Okay, northern. Or if you want to say that faster, it's like northern. One other thing too is that don't worry too much about that THERN because the stress is still on nor. Okay, so that's going to be the higher pitch. That's going to be fast. I mean, that's going to be longer. That means that THERN is going to be faster. It's going to be a lower pitch and much weaker. It's like third. Northern. I would even say try saying northern 3 times and just try to whisper the thern. Northern. That's the key part. Okay. Our next word here is going to change everything because now the stress is going to switch onto east. So in the northeast, it's like you could say like, oh, I live in the northeast. Okay, so for instance, like if you live in like Boston, like Connecticut or Maine in the U.S., I live in the northeast. Key part here is east. Notice now how weak the north part is. North. You just want to say it really fast, really weak. North. Northeast. Okay, that's the key thing. The next word, northeastern. So we're still stressing east. The only thing we've done is we've added an unstressed syllable before it, and we've added an unstressed syllable after it, which is making it fun. It's like the north and the need to be really fast. Northeastern. So first off, it might be helpful to just try saying east a couple times. It's like east. Then let's add the north again. Northeast. If that feels okay, work backwards. Let's try eastern. Eastern. Do you hear how fast and weak my is? Eastern. And then we can put it all together. Northeastern. It's like in the northeastern part of the United States. And then for the last one, 4 syllables, northeasterner. This is going to have the same stress as before. We're just adding another unstressed syllable at the end. It's like northeasterner. It's like those last 2 syllables. Practice those really quick. Just try to say really quick. So that ERNER, just Easterner. Okay, try not to say Easterner. That's way too firm. That's way too strong. Easterner. And then we add the north before it. Northeasterner. Okay, so you can say I'm a northeasterner. That's the what I'm familiar with. I'm a northeasterner. Okay, the key part again being the east. By the way, so again, this is a 4-syllable word with the stress on the second syllable. If you're having trouble with the rhythm you want is like da 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 northeasterner. It can be helpful to practice those rhythms. That is actually something that we talk about. I forget where do we discuss kind of those patterns and things. I know we talk about it in Accent Dash. I think it's part of the sample. I think this is this video here. Okay, so you can check out this video if you go to fluentamerican.com/accent dash. This is a free video. Okay, that's a preview of the course. This goes through different practice exercises like the da 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 northeasterner northeasterner, or you could even apply it to sentences like I like I never left. I never left. I never left. Yeah, it's the first video of Accent Dash, but I think I switched the order on YouTube. Or at least on the pattern here. Okay. It's like da 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 northeasterner, northeasterner. I never left. I never left. What you're gonna see is that these sorts of patterns with stress and pitch and things like that are used in so many situations. They're used in individual words, they're used in sentences, they're used in paragraphs. Da 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 northeasterner. I never left. Things like that. So these like stress patterns and things are super, super crucial. Even if you don't get the Accent Dash course, I really encourage you to take a look at that stress pattern video because it's just, if you can master that, it's going to make everything sound so much more natural. Yep. Roberto, let me know if that helps or doesn't help, if you feel worse or if you feel better. Keep me posted. Who is next? Checking. We done 2 files. So made a send a file. Kind of hit it down there. Cool. Just send us some words. Let's take a look at our next one, though. We got a 12-second one. Okay. Roberto, don't forget to breathe. Don't forget to breathe. Above all else, just make sure you're getting enough air through. That's always going to be the crucial thing to do. Okay, our next file is this one. Okay. Thanks to Sycamore for sending this file. Here it is. This was the 12-second one. Yes. Okay. Take a look at this again. Okay. Let's begin from the beginning. I like that. Everything's fine. Like that implies that yeah, it's okay, but it's not great. I'm not like super happy. I like the pitch there. Oh, I'm not sharing the audio. You guys. Oh god. Give me 1 sec. Going to take 2. I'm sorry. So sorry. Okay. Let us try once more.
Everything's fine.
Again, that everything like everything's fine. Like that again implies that no, everything's not fine. Not everything's great.
Everything's fine. It's just I'm kind of having some issues with the house. It's just I'm kind of having some issues with the house.
Watch out for issues with the short I sounds. Again, not ish. It's more issues. Having some issues.
I'm kind of having some issues with the.
Having some issues with. I would also maybe hold that vowel a little longer on issues. Having some issues with.
Having some issues with the house.
Having some issues. Having some issues. Just a note.
Kind of having some issues with the house. Having some issues with the house.
Same thing, issues with. So I would practice saying that phrase, issues with, have some issues with, have some issues with, just to make sure you're using a short I sound for both those. So it's not issues with, issues with, or issues with, have some issues with.
There's nothing wrong with it. Everything's fine. It's just I'm kind of having some issues with the house.
You can also hear again with like, it's just.
It's fine. It's just
it just versus like, it's just a note on that. Hello to Finn checking in. Good to see you once more. So some of this could be because our placement is just a little high.
Everything's fine. It's just I'm kind of having some issues with the house.
Like it feels like we're almost up here. Like everything's fine. It's just I'm having some kind of issues with the house. Like maybe even just taking a whole sequence and just trying to say it 5 times and go down each time. Everything's fine. It's just I'm kind of having some issues with the house. Everything's fine. It's just I'm kind of having some issues with the house. Everything's fine. I'm kind of having some issues with the house. Everything's fine. I'm just kind of having some issues with the house. Everything's fine. It's just I'm kind of having some issues with the house. Do you hear those differences there? So I would just try to say that sentence 5 times, down, 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 down. Honestly, I think that will help kind of balance out the placement. It might help a lot with those short I versus E sounds because a lot of times when people have a higher placement on a short I, it becomes an E. Just a note there. Hello, also to A4 Mins. Good to see you. Questions here. Ever been to Connecticut? Watch out! Don't forget about the C. It's not Connecticut. It's Connecticut. I'm just kidding. It's pronounced Connecticut. There's a C right before that T. Have I ever been to Connecticut? I have. Not anything extended. It's just passing through to like go from like New York up to Boston. There's not really a whole lot to see in Connecticut, if we're honest. It's just kind of a suburb of New York, if we're being honest. My brother used to live in Hartford. If that helps, just for like a year or two. Moving on.
Everything's fine. It's just I'm kind of having some issues with the house.
Okay, I think we talked about that part. Some placement things. How about the next part?
There's nothing wrong with it. It's just
I like your pitch change.
there's nothing wrong with it.
You don't do that a whole lot in your speech, so I really like that here. I would really try to incorporate some of those higher pitches. I like that. It really creates separation. Like, listen to how we have our first thought group and then it blends with that next part.
Kind of having some issues with the house.
See how low he is on house, and then what's going to happen?
There's nothing wrong with it.
See how high it goes. So that sort of like contrasts the supernatural sound. I really like it.
Nothing wrong with it. It's just it's kind of a tough sell.
Oh, a tough sell.
Kind of a tough sell. It's kind of a tough sell.
Tough sell. Tough sell. It's kind of a tough sell. It's kind of a tough sell. Kind of a tough sell. I would go higher in pitch on sell. Sell is your main stress. You're putting a little bit of stress on tough, but the heavier stress on sell. So I would go a little higher there on sell and pitch.
It's kind of a tough sell.
Also sounds like you're saying sale versus sell. L. So I would practice just saying doing eh sound, like in best, 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 and then like se, se, and then you can also work backwards too. You can do like l, l, l. One of the things I hope you're noticing too, watch my mouth when I'm going from that S sound to that L sound. It's like l, l, l. The tip of my tongue never goes high. It's never like l, l, because that's raising my placement a little bit. It's blocking off air. I keep my tongue down. L, l. It's like L, cell, L, cell, L, cell. So I would practice that a little bit for cell, just a note. Other things for this file.
It's kind of a tough sell. And I tell every single person that if they want, they could tear the whole place down.
A lot of thought groups there, but the same pitches for all of them, which is kind of causing this to sound a little bit flat.
Kind of a tough sell. And I tell every single person
that
if they want, they could tear the whole place down.
They could tear the whole place down. So like we're just like really restricted. I tell every single person that if they want, they could tear the whole place down. Versus something like this. And I tell every single person that if they want, they could tear the whole place down. Just trying to add a little bit more contrast, going a little higher on my highs, a little lower on my lows, just to get that more natural feel. Because right now it's just a little bit limited.
And I tell every single person.
Another thing too is that listen to how long each syllable is.
So, and I tell every single person that if they want, they could tear the whole place down.
Everything's the same length. Every single syllable is about the same amount of time. And I would play around with that. If something's being stressed, I would hold it longer. And maybe some parts could be said even faster, like for your reduced parts. And I tell every single person that if they want. And I tell every single person. You know what I mean? So just kind of play around with that.
Everything's.
And another option too for the ending.
Every single person that if they want, they could tear the whole place down.
Tear the whole place down. That if they want, they could tear the whole place down. It's like something like that. Notice I'm extending. I'm saying whole place down, and that's also playing with pitch more too. Whole place down. They could tear the whole place down. So just little things like that. Because right now it sounds really balanced. It sounds really clear, which is nice. But if the goal is a more natural sound, we're going to need to speed some things up, slow some things down, play around with pitches more to get that more natural feel. Because otherwise, it just sounds a little flat. But thanks to Sycamore for sending that file. Please let me know if you have any questions about anything I mentioned there. Appreciate you as always. See some other questions came in. I want to address. I'm up here. Whoa, I'm so high. Wow. Oh, that's better. All right. What the we have a question here.
Question.
Finn asks, does the tongue feel any wider in like in bat than it does in bat 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 it doesn't have to. It can. Doesn't have to. I think again, I know we're really interested in mouth position things. I get it. I do. We want to have a formula. But a lot of times what we actually find happening is that there are many ways to pronounce the same sounds. So it's yeah, is that possible? Yeah, maybe. But it's not. I'm not overly concerned about how wide your tongue is when you're making an sound versus s sound. Ah, The bigger difference there is that for the sound, the middle of your tongue is high, and the back and the front of your tongue are down. So you need the back of your tongue pretty low for like in bat, B-A-T. But for the sound, like in best, you need the back of your tongue higher, and the front of your tongue in general is going to be a little higher too. It's like for the sound, you want a lot of air to move through the back of your mouth, but for the sound, you want to block off a lot of that air. Just a note. Question here two. Do you feel like it ever hits the upper molars because of its wideness? Do you ever feel like you hit the upper molars because of your wideness? Wow. No one's ever asked me that before. So what I would say is that, like, in general, what I would say is that that's more common for the sound, like in best or get with the letter E, is that if that's a tricky sound to say, something that can be helpful is biting the sides of your tongue a little bit to get your tongue a little bit wider horizontally. It's like but for the sound, I would not generally recommend biting the sides of your tongue. Hopefully that answers your question. I need some water again, so help me out.
Like what you're hearing? Let us know by liking and subscribing.
I guess we've also arrived at the point of the show where I do want to remind people that, hey, if you're finding any of this helpful, lots of exciting things going on. Lots and lots of exciting things going on. Let me share my screen with you because that's what I want to do. I want to help you, and I want to show you how I can help you. So, first things first, big announcement, probably big announcement of the day is that our 4-step American accent class is free. It's free. We love free. So if you know people that are interested in things like studying American English, or if you yourself are interested in American English, why else would you be here? It's a good question, right? So our 4-step American accent course is available now for free. It's at our website, fluentamerican.com. Did I mention that's free now? So you get it for free. So you don't pay anything. You send me your email, I email it to you. And this class, what it does is it's going to go through the fundamentals. So if you want practice with placement, breath, pitch, and trying to weaken your consonant sounds to strengthen your vowel sounds more, then this is the class that's going to work through all of those key concepts. I hope you guys enjoy it. That is now a free option. But you might be like, well, video courses sound nice, but I don't just want a video course. I want feedback for me. Me. It's about me. Cool. I got you. We have a course called Mission English, which is available on top of other things like our YouTube videos, our Telegram group, but Mission English. For the price of one pronunciation class a month, you get access to 40. Now, a quick note, there is a quick break that's going to be happening for Mission English this week, but we'll be back at it. Every month, we guarantee at least 30 classes. So you get 30 opportunities to work with me for the price of a single class. The other thing, too, is that when you're studying pronunciation, it's really key to study a little bit every day. You feel it if you don't. You know, if you take a day off or you take 2 days off and then you study again, you feel it. You're like, oh, man, I'm definitely a little slower today. Just things aren't clicking as fast as they used to. So that's what our Mission English course is all about. Okay, so we meet 30 times at least a month. Typically, it's closer to 40. We've actually just passed our 300th class, which is exciting. 300 classes of Mission English. Oh my gosh. Each class time is spread out at different time zones. So we meet at 9:30 a.m. New York time, or we meet at 1:30 p.m. New York time, or we meet at 8 o'clock p.m. New York time. Okay, those are all spread out across the week. So, for instance, on Monday, we meet at 1:30 p.m. and 8 o'clock. We also have some writing sessions too. So, if you're using English for work, maybe to write emails or to maybe need to write a resume or maybe write a cover letter, maybe you're preparing for IELTS, so things like that. So, you want to know what kinds of things you can expect from your writing. I was an examiner for IELTS, so I'll be happy to help you with that too. So, that's on weekends. We guarantee 5 writing classes a month. Yeah, that's part of our Mission English program. A couple people here are actually members. Okay. Manuel says 300. Let's go. 300. We did it. We did a thing. 300 classes. That means that you could, if you join today, you could watch a new class almost every single day of the week for an entire year. In fact, we'll be there. We'll be at over 365 classes in what, like 2 months? Which is wild. That's a lot of classes. All right, so check that out. fluentamerican.com/Mission English. Love to see you guys there. And Nana's here. Hi, Nana. Nana, really quick. Again, just some exciting things. I just mentioned, if you're interested in courses, we have our 4-step American accent course is now free. So I just want you to take advantage of that because I have not had a chance to announce that anywhere else. You guys are the first to know. So you guys are the first to dig in, which is cool. Anything else? No? Okay. Let's crank out some more files. I don't think there's too many more left. Dum, dum, da-da. Just Sycamore, got Shoke, we got Zobeda. There is still time if you would like to send in your own pronunciation file. There is still time. However, it is very rapidly approaching the end because I only have 2 files left at the moment. Okay. Let us take a listen to what this one is. As I write down our time, we are at 47. 47. Okay. 47. Yes, Edward gets it. Edward says 300. Exactly. The whole record. We're doing the thing. Before we look at this file, too, we got a question. Beto, do you ever use an intrusive R? As in pizza R? Draw it out. Draw it out. Pizza R. Am I doing that right? Pizza R. Pizza R. I want some pizza R. If I'm thinking of what, if my thought is correct, I think you're thinking of more of a British situation where like idea becomes like idea and things like that. American English does not do that. American English does not add R sounds just out of the blue. We don't do that. We just if there's an R, we pronounce it. If there's not an R, we don't pronounce it. We don't just go sneaking R's into places. Pizza. It's what I eat for my lunch and dinner. In a Boston accent? Maybe. I mean, it depends on the type of Boston accent too. The Boston accents, especially like the older ones, do have some traces back to British English. So that could be a part of that. Okay. Aya's asking another good question here. What's up, Ayas? How to keep a low placement and change intonation and pitch. Okay. So one thing I'm going to say is that first of all, placement does not always have to be low. It's okay if placement goes high. It's just that the general tendency is trying to keep it low. Okay. But it is possible to, have a low placement but a higher pitch. Because if I'm like, wow, 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 versus like wow, wow, wow. Well, that's a high placement, but it's also a very restricted breath and things like that. What I would say is that the big thing is especially going to be breath. Because even when you're using higher placements, you want to make sure you're getting enough air through. So like even if I'm like, wow, like that, wow, like even that part's still getting a lot of air through relatively. Where it's like, well, now that's a very high pitch and a high placement, but a very restricted airflow. I'm just not letting any air come through. Versus like an That's a higher pitch, but a little bit more breath coming through. Okay, so I think the big thing is just trying to make sure enough air is moving. There are times again where you can use a higher placement, but it's just in general we're trying to keep things a little bit lower, especially compared to a lot of people's first languages. I hope that makes sense. The more important thing is going to be breath. Okay, and checking out diaphragm exercises. In fact, if you look at a lot of detours today. That's okay. Hope we will. I know the connection is going crazy as I search for a website. We hear. Okay. I know the connection went crazy. I'm sorry. Okay. But if you go to our website, and you go down to I think I want a breath, right? Yes, how to breathe. You've been breathing. You don't even know how to breathe, people. People, you don't know how to breathe. I want to show you how to breathe. So that's what this whole playlist is about on our homepage. All different types of breath exercises. And that's going to be the big thing. California Valley Girl sounds. I mean, your stereotypical Valley Girl accent is duolato, like rising intonation, like this all the time. So it could be that what you're hearing is the intonation pattern, creeping the pitch up a little bit higher. Okay. I think sometimes it can get a little nasally in terms of placement. But again, we're not talking about Valley Girl accents here. We're talking about things that are a little bit more general across the U.S. Those are typically California girls are a little bit more specific. All right. I think I put it in a timestamp. Maybe I did. No, I see 4. I did not put in a timestamp. We are at 51:26. Oh my gosh. A full hour of American English pronunciation on a Saturday. That weird thing. I hate Google Docs. It's so weird with time. Okay. Shoke has sent us this. Appreciate it. Let's take a look. We have a song. Oh man. Get your popcorn ready. Let's take a look at this.
To another land, he'll take you far away, so very, very far away. Love will show the way. Nobody knows who will share all your love, pure and fair. But in your eyes, I can see that someone will be me.
Okay, give it up to Shoke. Takes guts to sing, guys. Online. It takes talent to sing well. And that's really great to hear. All right, let's again, it's hard with songs because it's not speaking, right? So it's a little bit different, but I will try to give the best feedback that I can.
To another land, he'll take you far.
I will say that land sounds a little bit restricted.
The land, he'll
It's like almost sound like lend versus land. So watching out for that ass and link with that n. It's like and
take you far away, so very, very.
I like your A sounds on far away. So a lot of times what people do is they tense up. So they're doing A versus just A. So I like what you're doing there. Sounds good.
Far away, love will show the way.
Also like how you're saying love. Love is another word that can be very tricky because of the schwa sound after the L. So again, it's not love. It's love. So and that, especially like again for Arabic speakers as well. So I like this a lot.
Love will show the way. Nobody knows.
I like the speed change there. So like notice how fast nobody went, and then the whole held sound on nose, like how much longer it is.
Nobody knows
See how fast nobody was?
the way. Nobody knows who will share.
That's a good R sound there. Lots of breath, like who will share. So it's not that's too tight. It's not because that's not really an R. It's more
All your love, pure and fair.
We're pure and again.
All your love, pure and fair.
Almost feels like there's like some tongue rolling going on from like pure and.
all your love, pure and
So like I would just try to smooth that a little bit, like pure and so it's pure and more pure and.
fair. But in your eyes, I can see that someone will be me.
I like that last little sequence too. That someone will be me. What I think it does well is I think it do a good job of keeping the vowels linked together. You can hear there's no real stop. Instead, it's just going from vowel to vowel to vowel to vowel, kind of like what I'm doing right now. I'm not letting the consonants be too strong. I'm just trying to let the vowels link together with the breath. I think this sequence there is hitting that.
I can see that someone will be me.
You know, there's a chance with that B and that M to be a little bit too dominant, but I think this is pretty well done. You know, and I think too, just like what singing does a lot of times, if you're in general, if you're singing correctly in a lot of different languages, is you're engaging your diaphragm more, so you're able to get a lot more breath and air moving and passing through. And I think that's kind of something that we're seeing here as well. So I think it's very effective.
All your love, pure and fair. But in your eyes, I can see that someone will be me.
All right, that's pretty much all I got for you, Shok. I hope that helps. Thank you so much for sending that file. We appreciate you and your voice, sharing it with people. That's good stuff. All right, moving on. I see Zobeda has sent us a file. I think I mentioned that earlier. I think someone new is sending us a file too. I need you to get in there. Hey, send us a file. Hey, cool. All right, so I see 2 files for us to take a look at. And give me a moment to add in our words here. So it's checking out some specific terms, practice some pronunciation things, and allow me to share. Here we go. And it's this one here. What's our time? We were at 57. All right, Zobeda, what you got for us?
Worth living, journey, surrounded, material possessions.
Okay, the drums sound pretty good. Just some quick words I want to review. Okay, let's take a look at the first one.
Worth living,
I like your short out living. Really nice.
worth living,
You could even lower your placement on worth if you want. Worth.
worth living,
Because I feel like I'm hearing worth. Feels like you might be rounding your lips a little bit. Ward versus worth. Your difference. Watch my lips. Worth living versus worth living.
worth living,
I like living a lot.
living, journey,
Journey versus journey. A similar thing here. I think sometimes with the arch, we might be doing a lot of action with our lips and our mouth, but I would do more jur. See how straight my lips stay? Jur, journey, journey, journey. It's a lot more about the placement of the breath than it is about the lips. You know, jur, journey. Okay.
journey,
Also feels like you're kind of shifting your vowel, almost like 3 syllables.
journey,
Journey versus journey. You can also weaken that end sound a little bit.
journey, surrounded,
I like surrounded a lot.
surrounded,
I like your short out on the it at the end. Surrounded.
journey, surrounded,
I like your stress. I like I like your syllable balance. Like I like surround, so your owl sound is nice and long. The sir and the I are nice and short, lower pitched.
surrounded, material possessions.
Material possession. I think possession is probably gonna be your stress, so I would go a little higher pitched on possessions.
Material possessions.
Instead of possessions, more possessions. I would also watch out for that last syllable of possessions. Try to get a little more short eye, Because I feel like it's almost more shuns versus shins.
Possessions.
Possessions versus possessions. I think a lot of times we see the short I is actually the sound that appears at the end of a word if the syllables are reduced somewhere. Ins, possessions. Because I feel like I'm hearing possessions versus possessions. I just don't know. There. But that's all I got. I hope that's helpful. Thank you to Zabeta for sending that file. Thank you. We got some questions coming in. Ayaz is going right. Going over the juggler today. They woke up and they shows violence. They ask, Jeff, where is your cool beard? I literally shaved it like 20 minutes before the stream because I'm about to I have to do some traveling. And so typically when I travel and I know I'm going to be gone for a couple days, what I do is I just shave completely because my beard grows back really fast. So by next week, I'll probably have a very noticeably heavy beard. So don't worry. It grows back fast. I promise you. Question. Mr. Go Big Go Home. Good to see you. Say, nice thumbnail. Looks like church. Fluid Mary, what's the difference between poem and poetry? Very good question. I don't know if you can see it. There's books. I don't know. Let me see if I can get out the frame. Focus on them. Yeah. So I don't know if you can see. Those are poetry books. So those are poetry books stapled up there. But anyways, what's the difference between poem and poetry? A poem is like a single piece of writing, whereas poetry is like the industry or the whole field of writing. So one poem can be found in the world of poetry. I hope that makes sense. Okay, poetry is the more general study of the literature form. Okay, what else are we doing? What are we doing? Oh, we have a file from Ayaz. I guess he would like us. They would like us to look at their file. We can do that. Give me a minute. What is our time? Time doesn't exist. It's a social construct by which we all must abide. Okay. As we are at the 1 hour. Oh my gosh. We did a full hour. 2 minutes. 15-second mark. Edward asks, is like poem versus poetry same as art and artistry? Kind of. Artistry, I feel almost more refers to like the craft. What's a similar thing I could give? I think a better example might be like, for instance, and even this isn't great, but like for instance, like algebra, like poem is to poetry as like algebra is to like math. It's just a different thing. Okay. Let me see if I can think of a better example because in theory it's even more specific than that. It's like a poem is to poetry as maybe like a letter is a form of writing. Like a letter, or even like a Facebook post is a form of writing. Maybe that's a little bit more on point. Like it's like a small subset of a bigger thing. Okay. And Zabay would like to me to hear these words. You want to hear me? Oh my gosh, Zabay. I said I wouldn't cry today. Okay. Worth living. Worth living. Journey. Journey. Surrounded. Surrounded. Material possessions. Material possessions. Oh, Thank you. I hope that was helpful. I wrote a timestamp down for Ayaz, and that is wildly inaccurate now, so I have to adjust that. Give me a moment. Did I even write down his words? Oh, he did not give me words. So there's no words to write down. Ayaz is feeling very brave today. They're just like, Jeff will understand everything I say. All right, you're putting a lot of weight on me, man. That's a lot of faith. That's a lot of trust. I thought I changed the Chinese state, but it didn't. People saying bravo with things. Good job, Jeff. You know how to read. Good job, Jeff. All right. Is this our last file? Last file. We're gonna land the plane. It's gonna take us home. See what they got for us. I am sharing my audio.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person, and I'm looking forward to working with you again. Just let's keep in touch.
Okay. Very clear, very understandable. The rhythms and patterns here are not the most natural sounding. A little bit too flat and a little bit too regular.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for inviting. That's the way you're saying this basically is thank you so much for inviting me, which is kind of giving you almost a robotic type of feel. And I think if you want to start getting this sounding a little bit more natural.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Something needs to pop more in terms of pitch because we're too flat. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me. So one option you could do is not just necessarily go higher, but maybe take your lows a little bit lower. Like, thank you so much for the 4. I think it's really that's your fulcrum. That's your point where you can really add some nuance here.
Thank you so much for inviting.
Because like, thank you so much for.
Thank you so much for inviting. Thank you so much for inviting.
Because you're saying so much for.
Thank you so much for inviting.
So everything's almost at the same pitch. Whereas if you lowered the 4, notice how that's going to change things. Thank you so much for inviting. Thank you so much for inviting me. Versus thank you so much for inviting me. Do you hear the difference? Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me. Do you hear the difference there? Just by going down in pitch on 4, it's going to help invites pop off a little bit more. But you could also go higher in pitch on inviting as well if you want. It's like, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me. It sounds a little bit more genuine when you say it like that. Like, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me. So maybe treating it as like 2 thought groups. Like, thank you so much. Thank you so much for. Thank you so much for. And then the inviting me part, shift everything higher. Inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's just going to sound a little bit more genuine to your person. You don't necessarily sound all that grateful if you keep things too flat.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person.
I'm imagining that, let's say that you actually are saying each of these sentences together in like one sequence of speech.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person.
It's the same pattern. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person. So like da 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 da. That's kind of the pattern you're using for both of these sentences. So it's kind of giving this almost like robotic sort of feel, like thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person. It's like doing stuff like that. It's just trying to incorporate a little more pitch patterns to your speech, add more separation between your thought groups. It's going to really help this sound a lot more natural.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person.
Quick notes on some pronunciation thing. Person, so that second syllable in person, I would use a short I sound somewhere. Sin, person. Pleasure to meet you guys in person. I feel like you're saying person.
Me. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person.
Person versus person. Son more sin. Person, short I. Other things?
Pleasure to meet you guys in the.
Listen to pleasure.
For inviting me. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure. You're kind of taking off the vowel and pleasure on that first syllable. Because you're kind of saying pleasure. It's like pleasure. So there's the vowel is so short and fast. But the vowel is the part you actually want to hold. So that S sound is going to be really key. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a ple. To get that S sound longer, it's going to help open up that word. It's a pleasure.
You guys in the person.
To meet you guys in person. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person. It's like, it's a pleasure to meet you guys. Again, if we're separating our thought groups more with pitch, like maybe doing higher for that one, it's a pleasure to meet you guys. And then maybe the second thought group with the in person, maybe going lower in person. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person. It's a pleasure to meet you guys in person.
And I'm looking.
Listen to and.
And Pleasure to meet you guys in the person. And
your placement's really high here. You're doing it, and you're kind of here, maybe even slightly nasally, and versus if you lower your placement more can you hear a difference? And and what's also happening too is because your placement's so high, your schwa sound on your sounds more like versus
and guys in the person. And
that's kind of what I'm hearing versus so just kind of watch out for that schwa sound. Lower that placement will help.
I'm looking forward to working with you again. I'm looking forward to working with you again.
I'm looking forward to working with you again.
I'm looking forward to working with.
I'm looking forward. Oh, I think you're stressing the wrong word, buddy. I think you're stressing looking, but you must stress forward.
I'm looking forward to working.
I'm looking forward versus I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward. So stress forward, not looking.
With you again.
Again, I would hold your second syllable a little longer on your vowel. Again, that's your stress syllable, right? So that needs to be the syllable that's held longer, not faster. Again, I'm looking forward to working with you again.
Forward to working with you again. Let's keep in touch.
Let's keep in touch. Let's keep in touch.
Let's keep in touch.
Let's keep in touch. Let's keep in touch. Hey, let's keep in touch. I would go maybe a little higher in pitch, but falling intonation. It's not touch. It's more touch. Let's keep in touch. Let's keep in touch. Okay. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. I do see a question about this that we'll talk about in a moment. But before we get to that question. Just go big. Go, how you say rural fast? Rural. Like that. Rural. Rural. Okay. Heavy stress on the first syllable. Second syllable is going to be very weak. Okay. Anzo beta, no worries. Just asked about low placement. When I try not to be flat, my placement goes high. Again, having a lower placement might not necessarily be the higher placement might not necessarily be an issue. Some of this could also be breath related. So, for instance, making sure that, let's say, like you're trying to work on that and part. Okay, and so making sure that you like your sound. Part of the issue with that part was that's a part where you need the placement to be lower because that's a reduced part of your sentence. So that part needs to be lower. So that's a place where a low placement is going to be very helpful. We had some opportunities in your sentence where for your stress words to go a little higher in pitch and things like that. Okay. So again, a quick example, going back to your audio.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Go higher on inviting. Like, thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me. Okay. I would really honestly right now focus a little bit less on placement. I think that's kind of the thing you're concentrating on a lot, but I think a lot of what we're seeing here now is actually more pitch related. Honesty. How to fix my flat speech or pitch or whatever. Again, I would study pitch. I would do just some quick exercises. I mean, some things again that I've mentioned. We have where is it? Again, if you go to Accent Dash, even if you don't want to get the course, I would look at the preview because I would start off. If you're serious about trying to get into this, I would study the stress pattern video. Okay, so this is going to practice because the stress patterns are going to go over things related to exercises. So, for instance, welcome to Accent Dash. Let me make sure this is the right one. Okay, so this is the video definitely. So it's going to start off with individual words, just kind of studying pitch patterns for words. Like for instance, if we took a word like, if I took a word like dedicated, it's like the stress for dedicated, stress on death, like dedicated. The pattern is like da 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 da, right? It's not dedicated da 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 da. No, that's the wrong patterns. Dedicated. So this is going to help you just to start identifying high pitch, low pitch in syllables. Okay, so that's the very first thing I would start with. And then on the channel, we have other. If you go to my channel, just like look up like pitch videos. I mean, we talk about pitch a lot. Practice expanding your range of pitches. Like try, for instance, just try doing a scale. Can you do this like duh, 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 duh? Can you go 5 lower than that? Duh, 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 duh. Can you take that back up? Duh, 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 duh. Can you go up 5? Duh, 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 duh. Can you do 5 more? Duh, 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 duh. Can you take that down? Duh, 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 duh. Okay, so that's the very first thing I would practice is like, hey, can you just do a scale? It might sound easy, but you try doing it, it might be hard. Or you might find, hey, going down is easy, but going up is really hard. You know, another thing you could try doing is try to tie everything together, for instance, in a loop. Give me one moment to organize my screen. So, for instance, one thing you can try is like link everything together. It's like, go higher. Can you go higher? Now, can you take that? Can you go down more? Can you go down more? Just practicing those sorts of scales, because most likely what's going to happen is you won't be able to do that at first. Okay, if you can't do that, that's great. Wonderful. You can let me know, but most likely you're going to say like and then if you try going down, like and that's as low as you feel like you can go. But the reality is no. That's it's something I would work with. Okay. In addition to that, we also have a course that's just on pitch. That's literally all it does, is we just looked at pitch. So in addition to our videos, I go through what are 9 of the most common pitch patterns that native speakers actually use. That's literally what this course is for. Okay? So this one here. I teach you 9 of the most common patterns. And this is not information that you're going to find anywhere else. It's only in this course. Okay, you can't find this is not something other YouTubers are talking about. And it just shows you the 9 patterns that native speakers are using. Okay. So that's another option for pitch. You can take the pitch pattern that we use for words, like we said earlier, like dedicated, right? Dedicated. But that pattern also works for sentences. Like, I didn't do that. Dedicated. You shouldn't have gone. I didn't do that. You shouldn't have gone. Dedicated. All these are following the same pattern. So we need to get more comfortable going higher. We're like high pitch, low pitch. This is also where shadowing is helpful, because when you shadow, you need to record yourself and compare yourself to what you do to what native speakers sound like. These are just steps outside of like. I'll put it like this. The Schwa Mill is great. I hear an audio file, but it's kind of a one-on. It's not a one-on-one interaction, right? I'm just responding to what I hear, but I can't hear you make adjustments and things like that. I'm just listening to your file. Outside of actually taking a class or joining our program, for instance, again, we have our Mission English program. You can talk. There's a couple of Mission English people here. They can tell you that we talk about pitch like every single day, twice a day, because that's all we do. In a Mission English, again, you pay one price and you get access to every single one of these classes. It's like $40 a month. Outside of everything I just talked about, I really don't know what else to tell you. Because those are the types of things. Because if you try and do it on your own, those are the things that I would be working on. Take a look at the videos I have on pitch, do those scales, do those linking, do the rhythm with like individual words, put sentences in place of the words. Besides that, I don't know what else you want me to tell you, man. I really don't. But I hope that's helpful. All right, take a quick look at our document. Dun, 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 dun. That's it. Guys, we did a thing. Respond to everyone's American English pronunciation questions and things like that. All right. Well, that wraps us up. A quick note that next week I will have to do some traveling, so I don't believe we'll be able to do a Mission English. I don't believe we'll be able to do a Schwa Mill episode next week. But keep an eye out, of course, for all the resources we have on our channel, on our website. A gentle reminder again that now you can go to fluentamerican.com and get yourself your free copy of one of our Bay programs, our 4-step American accent, where basically what we do is we talk about what are the 4 steps that you need for a natural accent in American English. Okay, you can find it if you're going to go to fluentamerican.com. You scroll down, the courses, 4-step American accent. You see it's free. You click that, purchase it. All we need is your email, and then we'll send it to you. Once more, my name is Jeff. It rhymes with breath. I appreciate you guys spending some time with me here, and we will see you next time. Hope you guys have a good day, have a good night, good afternoon, and you take care.